Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to take a look at Anthony's collection, and this is going to be a little different in that usually when I recommend something, well, you try this or you try that, I'm fairly general about it because I don't want to get too much into anybody else's business, because your watch collection is dependent on your personality, your resources, and what you may happen to run into, and even where you live. Because if you have to get something from overseas, sometimes this can be a problem and so forth. Well, anyway, but today I thought, well, I'm going to be very specific. And so let's take a look at Anthony's collection. I mean, he's got a cool collection, so that I think you're going to like. Now, the first one is a Hamilton khaki field automatic. It has an ETA 2824 in it, but I read something about the Hamilton. They have a movement, and I think it's called the what's it called? The H40, I think, or HT40, one of the two. And what they did was something very different. They lowered the VPH, the vibrations per hour, from 4 hertz to 3 hertz. That's from 28,800 to, I think, 21,600, something like that. But they did that to lengthen the amount of time that their movement would run before rewinding. In other words, they extended the charge on it. And so this is something, not in this particular model, but in one of the newer ones. And I would urge Anthony to take a look at that. This would be of the one thing is that find out more about this new Hamilton movement at the lower VPH. One of the things about lower VPH is that most of your top watches have a lower VPH. Not all of them, but they're below 4 hertz. Okay, so the Hamilton, and it's just a cool watch for, I don't know, it's just a cool watch to have. You can wear that to anything. And perhaps nothing formal, but it's just a good banging around watch. I like it. Okay, now the next two are Seikos. One is the SKX 175 with what I call the Pepsi bezel. I think that's the correct name for it. And then a Seiko presage with the blue enamel dial, and the blue is a very dark navy blue on the Seiko. The thing about this, I wanted to do the presage, and I usually don't show this when we're looking at watches, and we don't give much attention to the band, but this had a very nice gator band on it, or at least looked like a gator band. And the SKX 175, that's it's a good, functional, reliable watch. All right, so let's see what else is in there. In this, here's a Tudor Black Bay Black. This, I think, is the very first time that Tudor won an award, a Grand Prix award. I believe it was for this watch. This particular one has an ETA in it. After they won the award, Tudor, which is owned by Rolex, started coming out with in-house movements by Tudor. So that was sort of interesting. This watch is it's a good little watch. I've got nothing against it because it's got an ETA in it. But I think the one that was made by Tudor is a little more interesting. All right, but that's okay. Now, this next one is one I happen to really like. This is your Omega Speedmaster 57. 57, this wasn't from 50. This isn't a vintage from 57. If it were, it wouldn't have a coaxial escapement in it, but rather sort of a style, heritage to it, okay, homage to the 57 coaxial. Cool watch, it's got a chronograph, and of course it's a classic. It's the classic Omega Speedmaster. Really a cool watch, and I think that's a neat one for literally anyone's collection. All right, now here we have, I'll call a covey of Rolexes. And there are three. There's the GMT Master 2 and the GMT, well, there's two GMT Master 2s, one with a Pepsi bezel and one without, and plus the Rolex Sea Dweller. And they all have that wonderful sort of magnifying glass over the date. I really like that. That's one of my favorite things about Rolexes. And yeah, these are cool watches. I mean, they're all Rolexes, and they're all very good watches. Now, this last one, this is another one of my favorites. It's a JLC, Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Control with a sector dial. The reason I like this watch is that it's part of the high horology group of watches. And it is at a very reasonable cost. And what they have is that every year they have another one. They have a new one. And so you can either collect the same kind, but they have this Master Control with something different about it every year. 2016, 2017, and so forth. They all have these different dials. Great idea. And I like that watch. This is the kind of watch that, to me, is a good, what I call an office watch. And that is, yeah, you wear that to work every day. It's a good-looking watch. Or, I don't know. There's something about it that says, okay, this is a cool watch. On the other hand, no one's, trying to show off, but they know their watches. It's just sort of a cool watch in that respect. And the best part is it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. All right, now let's take a look at costing an arm and a leg. When we look at the collection together, and the Hamilton got left out of this shot, but still it gives you a good overview. If you look at it, what would be the first thing that would strike you? I'll tell you what was the first thing that struck me. On the back row, they all look alike. The only difference is that the one on either end have the Pepsi bezels, and the ones in the middle don't. The Tudor, yeah, pretty much the same. Okay, they're all the same. And what I would do, okay, now I'm not Anthony, and Anthony may have a totally different agenda, but if you want my advice, this is it. You got three Rolexes, two of which looked pretty close to identical to me, and then the Seiko. What I would do, I would keep the Coke Rolex, or the Pepsi Rolex on the far end, the GMT2, sell the other two, plus the Pepsi bezel Seiko, plus the Tudor. Those are four watches that, to me, really didn't add anything to the collection. But especially the two Rolexes, you can really turn those over well. It's one of the things about Rolexes that's really great. Now, the next step is to go and get yourself into trouble. I'll suggest what I would do anyway. What I did is that I changed the collection to some other ones, bringing up your horological sort of value of the watches. Not necessarily the economic value, because I think that, the old saw about the best returns are on the ones that retain their value the best are Patek Philippe's and Rolexes. And that's true. Let me add this about my experience with with FP Journes, though. They haven't retained their value; they gained in value, and that's sort of an unusual thing, and I guess in some respects. But those watches are really amazing. So let's take a look at what I would suggest. And I'm going to start with high horology watches that are under $5,000. And the first one I'm going to recommend is a stainless steel Parmigiani Colpa. You can find these in condition zero for under $5,000, and these are really good watches. I mean, they're in a lot of different ways. Michael Parmigiani was the designer and still the main guy at Parmigiani, Vasseur, and there's another place called Apotec, something like that, that make all of the parts of it. They even make their own hairsprings, which is unusual. Not many places do that. Not many watch companies do that. I think Rolex does, but so many other ones will use something from somewhere else. Okay, so that's one. Now that's the most economical, and it would be easy to to sell the Rolexes and the Seiko and the Tudor, and get one. Okay, so that would be one suggestion. Now, under 10,000 is to me, one of the best. This goes into actually exceptional horology, and this is your H. Moser at sea. The H. Moser Endeavor, you can find those for under 10,000. In fact, you can find them for around $8,000. And they are, at least my experience has been, they're really wonderful watches. If you look into how they're built, how they're maintained, everything about them is really very special. And I have the H. Moser Henry double hairspring. I would recommend that to anybody in the world. Here's the only downside of it, or one of the reasons I didn't recommend it. There's only one I know that's around. It's in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I think it's in condition zero, too. It's a real good price, around $8,000. And the reason they quit making them in large numbers is that the double hairspring was so expensive to engineer. And it's a fairly expensive for when it comes time to have it serviced. I got to send the thing to Switzerland. I can't. The H. Moser Service Center here in the U.S. won't do it. But if you want a really exceptional piece of horology, I do recommend it. It's a good size watch too. It's a nice big one. Okay, so we get to the last one, and this is around $20,000, and this is used. This is pre-owned, and this is an FP Journe Chronomètre Souverain. Now, why Chronomètre Souverain and not the Chronomètre Blue? In fact, let me say it's a Chronomètre Souverain in yellow gold, or rose gold, whatever that is. So I put that over there where the Tudor used to be. This watch is about the best you can get, I think, in exceptional horology. And by that I mean FP Journe. You can get ones that are as good, but I don't know if you can get ones that are any better. I really don't. It's won a boatload of awards from the Grand Prix. In fact, he won so many, I don't think they wanted FP Journe there anymore because he kept winning them all. I have two of these, and they are really amazing watches, two FP Journes. That is expensive. $20,000 is a lot of money, and it's something that just looks crazy, and it does look crazy. Let's face it. We're mechanical watch collectors, but for the two Rolexes and the Seiko and the Tudor, if you could get enough to get near enough to one of those, I think it would be a great investment and add to anybody's watch collection. The H. Moser, I have same high regard for that. And the Parmigiani Colpa. Parmigiani is one of the most underrated, underestimated companies, watch companies there is. Kari Voutilainen, when asked what the best watch under $10,000 was, he suggested Parmigiani. Now, they don't have a lot of them that are under 10,000. And this is the older Colpa. You can find. I don't think they make these anymore, but there are lots of them around where you can still get them, and I think they're really great bargains. The other watches, I really, really like that Rolex. I didn't have anything against the other ones. They just all looked the same. And the Seiko, I like the Seiko, but it was just like the Pepsi bezel Rolex. The other Seiko, I thought that was really a cool one. You don't see too many of those. It's a good-looking watch. It's sort of more formal. The Omega Seamaster. Then you have would have a single chronometer, and not a chronometer, but a chronograph. And you don't need more than one. I have one, and I hardly ever use the chronograph function. The Jaeger-LeCoultre, like I said, I think that's the perfect watch for sort of everyday office use. Both the FP Journe and the H. Moser is a little more formal. The Parmigiani is that would be also very, very interesting in the office as well. By the way, that particular Parmigiani is an automatic. I'm not crazy about automatics, but that one is one I have and I like, and so I recommended it. And it's not a bad price. And so what you do is this is the ability to transform a collection where so much looks the same to something else. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out and buy all three of them. Okay, I would take a look at your economics of it and think about one. All right, and I just wanted to sort of to provide a look, say, okay, this is what my case would look like. And now, and the other thing too, that Hamilton, I would go and take a look at that. I think it's called the H40 or HT40, the Hamilton, that new one with the lower VPH on it. That with the 3 hertz movement, that's for extending the life of it. But that's very interesting. I don't know that I know that Hamilton is doing some engineering, and whether that's in-house or not, I'm just not sure. But they're doing something that's interesting, and I think worthwhile looking into that Hamilton. I think that Hamilton is very cool, and for the price, I think you can get them at Amazon for like, I don't know, $350 or so. So that's something that would be neat. One other one, this is for your more exceptional horology. It's not for everyone. This particular one, the 1930 Fleurier, not the Demier, but the Fleurier, the one with the Fleurier has the bow and crown and then the bar lug. That watch is just a fantastic watch. You can find them for around around 10,000. I know that's a lot, but you can find some for that, and that would be another one that you might want to think about. So, okay, so let's hear your opinions. I'm pretty sure that some of you who are Rolex owners and Rolex lovers are not going to be happy with this, or maybe even some of the Seiko owners and Tudor owners, like, what are you talking about? But I'd like to hear your opinion anyway. I think it's important to get some things. Now, this is like I said, this is moving in a little different direction, and that's that. This is also an invitation to subscribe if you like. And like I said, your comments are very important to me, so leave some comments. Let's hear what you have to say. Until next Friday, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.